Hi everyone. Well, first of all, it's fantastic to be a room with such a positive vibe, and I guess my initial request of you is to please attend my Monday calculus lectures to make me feel a little bit better. But anyway, so I'm in Earth and Environmental Science, and really what this theme is about, I guess traditionally we would think about this in terms of infrastructure, right? Critical to all areas of scientific understanding. And many of us started our journey, for example, in the wiles and wares of IoT. So really this is about, the starting point here is the software and hardware that brings knowledge together, starts to affect change. And I guess traditionally we would have thought about that in a siloed way. Of course, things have progressed quite quickly. How we actually used data from those infrastructural investments to build models on top of that, to build new scientific frameworks to then affect change. But what we want this theme to be is about taking that forward a little bit more and helping you do that. And I think hopefully you've got a feel from today already. This is about you and the connections across the university. We're now hearing about digital twins built on top of all this heterogeneous infrastructure. Those digital twins are being used to represent complex systems, but also affect change in the world in which we live. So some of the bullet points here represent that. But also it's about how we effectively use those technologies, okay? Ultimately, they're built and designed by us, and they're built for us, okay? So it's not just about the infrastructure, which is key, and I adore, and I really get a kick out of building new digital tools, but how we do it in an effective way, okay? And as Richard said, that means that this is wonderful crossover between different parts of the themes, but also the cross-cutting infrastructure as well. So, as Richard said, there's obviously really opportunistic alignment with research centres, with institutes. Some of those obvious alignments are listed here, but there are many more things that we can do. And it's not, as Richard said, it's not just about the larger initiatives. We can drill down to a project level. And in fact, just to give you a feel for, I'm scared of touching something now. Just to give you a feel for what we could do in this space, what that was supposed to show, I love atmospheric simulation videos, and that actually shows a simulation of where we realized there was an opportunity to work across the university and with NVIDIA to show how generative AI frameworks could be used for rapid downscaling of pollution fields. And that was done very quickly across a period of a few months because we brought people together. On the bottom right, that's a project Richard and myself are working on, is where we're using large language models to answer societal relevant questions based on environmental data. So we can drill down to the project level and bring people together. That's what we're all about. Okay. And we have a number of events planned moving forward. I guess you kind of get a feel for someone's age and background when you see the title of various things. But podcast series. It's sometimes really useful to actually have a voice, to actually let people know what's happening in the community and hear what people are doing, project that across everyone across the university. There are also movements that this theme can easily be a part of. If anyone's heard of Kadir before? Yeah. So we set up Kadir because, for a very similar reason. Actually, there's so much really interesting activity, interest groups, communities of practice. We can use Kadir as a way of channeling and listening to the needs across the theme. We have our first meeting of a horizon scanning group next week, because what we wanted to do is obviously listen to what you need, project what you need, bring you all together, but also hear what's going on outside of the university. So we have membership from local government, regional facilities, people at UOM, and we're looking also for ECR representation. And the idea here is we can have a horizon scanning group to bring that information back into the university and keep you all aware. And next year we have our inaugural Digital Environment Conference, where we're going to have keynotes from NVIDIA, Anthropic, Esri and others about what's happening in this space in terms of environmental science. But the last bullet point is really important. We want to hear from you today. So how can you use this theme and how can we listen to you to take some of this work forward? And I'll stop talking there.